Let your soul and spirit fly into mystic. Let your soul and spirit fly into mystic. Into mystic. Into mystic. Into mystic.
Good evening and welcome back to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. Good evening, Tricia Walsh.
Good evening, Suzette.
You know, the aquarium, comes on every other show. Mm-hmm. And I was just informed from one of my favorite people at the aquarium that she brought us absolutely nothing for show and tell, Tricia.
I think we have to institute a rule that you have to bring something fun, like an animal, if you're going to come on the show.
But Kelly Mattis is fun. So I think I want to welcome back Kelly Mattis from the Mystic Aquarium. Good evening, Kelly.
Thank you. Well, I am just, you know what? Look at this lovely green pen.
It is green, and we love it.
Green, like in reptiles.
And reptiles, and we want to go green, right?
Yes. Well, look at all the metaphors we can make from that pen that was sitting on the table. Hello, Suzette. Hello, Tricia.
Hi.
We love having you on, Kelly. So tell us, summer's gearing up.
I know it is. We are in full bloom at the aquarium. We just opened a few weeks ago now our new Scales and Tails exhibit. So if you haven't been there yet, you actually have the opportunity to come in, touch an alligator, touch a snake, touch a lizard. It is so much fun, and people really enjoyed it over April vacation week.
So what else?
Yeah, and upcoming we're getting into special event day season, talking about the green pen, the green efforts. Yeah. We have a Long Island Sound Day. We have, we just completed Earth Day events. We have World Oceans Day. So we've got all kinds of environmentally themed events coming, and all of that is on our website, mysticaquarium.org. And Mother's Day. Mother's Day is right around the corner, and we are doing with a full price child. Mother gets in free on Mother's Day.
Oh, excellent.
So you can
That
come.
is huge.
Yeah, and all the details are on our website.
Okay.
You check out everything there. All of our hours, our feeding times, show times, all kinds of fun stuff. So there's lots of activity at the aquarium as always.
So 7 days a week.
Yes, absolutely, 7 days a week, and we're gearing up for summer camp. So looking
Here we
forward,
go again with summer camp.
Everybody loves summer camp. It is just a wonderful experience at the aquarium. Kids anywhere from 3 years old to 17 years old. We have summer camps for us. You can come by and have the kids participate in a summer camp, and it's just an absolutely great time.
Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Just real quick, because Kelly, we've seen you through so many different things, but I just want to say that, how old are your boys now? I want to ask that question.
I know the answer to that question.
Speaking of Mother's Day.
Yes, Calvin will be 4 in June, and Juliana's just over 18 months.
Wow.
So my little bundles of joy are doing well. Thank you for asking.
Well, Kelly, it's always a pleasure having you on Mystic Matters, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds perfect.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. So, Tricia, what else is going on? Speaking of gearing up.
Well, we're gearing up for Mother's Day. I think, to touch on the aquarium thing, maybe signing your kids up for a summer camp would be a nice Mother's Day gift, perhaps. And we also have Fusion coming up. That is the Friday of Mother's Day weekend. Right. And so if you're a mom and you want to have a huge amount of fun, you're going to want to come down to the Velvet Mill on May 10th between 7 and 11 p.m. We have live body art, food tastings, beer, wine. Tickets are $40 in advance. It's all on our website, mysticchamber.org. I strongly encourage you to pre-purchase tickets. I'm pretty sure this event is going to sell out.
Yeah. And another thing is, if you want to contact us, we are gearing up for the Art Festival, the second weekend in August, and where you can always use more and more volunteers. But the thing with the volunteers is that you're not only volunteering, but you're getting out there and working with some of your friends in the community. It's a lot of fun. I think volunteering for the Art Festival is a lot of fun.
I agree.
You meet all kinds of different people and people that you haven't seen in the past. So give us a call at 572-9578 and check us out on our website as well. So, Tricia, somebody that's not new to the chamber.
Not new at all. I have to say, this is someone who held my hand through my first months as manager of membership and has been a wonderful colleague throughout the years, and I'm so pleased to finally host you on Mystic Matters, Lorraine Sanborn.
Well, thank you, Tricia. As you all know, I think the world of the Mystic Chamber because it's home. And you feel good when you do things with the Mystic Chamber. And people say to me, well, should I join the Chamber? And I say, why shouldn't you join the Chamber? It is a great group of people. There's no politics. It's just fun, and we all work hard. And not being an employee, I sometimes say we, and people say, oh, you work at the Chamber? And I say, no, but I just feel like I'm part of the Chamber.
Well, I think you've been a great advocate, and you've worn so many different hats during your career. Even Tricia, she's even pinch hitted a couple times in this seat where she's, co-host with me a couple of times.
Former board member,
yes.
GBA,
yes.
member, longtime members, like the list goes on and on.
Thanks.
So what hat are you wearing this evening, Lorraine?
Oh, well, the hat I have is, what are we going to do and what do we need to know about life insurance? Because there's so many misconceptions out there about life insurance. I was thinking the other day, I get these emails, we were just talking about emails before we went on the show, and I get these, sign up for a free quote. Well, getting a free quote for life insurance isn't the way to go, because you may get a cheap rate, but A, do you know the person you're dealing with? Do you have that person who will sit with you and look at your whole picture? Because it's not just about saying, oh, give me a quote, I need $50,000 worth of life insurance. Well, first of all, maybe $50,000 is too much. Maybe it's not enough. So what I do is I sit with each individual family and we take a look at their whole financial picture. And then we can make a decision on the type of life insurance that they need, the actual amount of life insurance they need. So it's not just about get me a quote.
So at what age would you say people should start looking at obtaining life insurance?
That's a good question.
That's an awesome question. I think it all depends. In fact is, I just happen to have this little thing here, that at age 25, people that are married, you want to protect your income, you're going to buy a house, you're going to start having children. So if you have any of those assets and that obligation that you're supporting someone else, then that's the time to look at life insurance. The best part of being young and doing life insurance is looking at a permanent policy. Because when you're young, you can get, a permanent policy means that you're going to be covered until you're 120 years old. And that's really interesting, because I have a client who called me yesterday who's 80. I wrote him a 10-year term policy because that's all he felt he needed back then. And now he says to me, it's going to cost me $26,000 a year in September to keep my policy in effect. So when you're 25, you're 30, you're 35, you want to get a policy that's going to last your whole life. And you can get that at a very low cost. That's not going to change as you get older.
Right. Well, what's the purpose of a life insurance? I mean, why do we need life insurance? And is it for husband and wife, or mainly because women live longer?
Or is it for your children? Yeah.
Right. What's its purpose?
Well, first of all, women underestimate the fact that they need to have that kind of life insurance, because if you look at yourself as a woman and you're either working or you're stay-at-home mom, any one of those kinds of things, if you die and there's still children, who's going to take care of those children? Your husband can't quit his job and stay home if you're a stay-at-home mom. Excuse me, if you have income coming in, and don't we all today live on the amount of money that we bring in, and some of us live beyond our means? So you want to look at, when I sit down with somebody, I look at things to answer your question, your mortgage, what your debts are, how old your children are, when are they going to start college, because you've got to start planning for all this. So I'm not sure that there really is a time when you can't have life insurance. I know for me, I always put what we call a child rider on the parent's policy. So what that does is it guarantees that child, let's say we put $10,000 or $15,000 of life insurance for that child. It's not that we're trying to insure the child. What we're trying to do is protect them in the event that they have a health issue somewhere down the road and they get to be 20, 25 years old and now they can't get insurance. So if you put a child rider on the policy, let's say it's $15,000, again, it depends on the company, but they're guaranteed to have that amount times so much. So let's say it's 5 times that much. Now they know that they're going to have at least $70,000, $75,000 worth of life insurance that they're guaranteed to be able to have issued. So, story, I put a $5,000 child rider on a person's policy many years ago, and his son was killed in an automobile accident. And the agent who took over that policy, because it was a company I started with, she said, "Do you remember putting that child rider on this person's policy?" And I said, "I don't remember specifically, but I always encourage that to happen." So that $5,000 went to help with whatever expenses there were. So we don't plan on covering our children because of that, but there's a lot of reasons it's there. And my granddaughter got her driver's license a few months ago. The child rider's on my daughter's policy.
Wow. Now, I'm sure there's different types of life insurance. Now, how are they different?
The length of the policy would have some factor. When we talk about permanent insurance, you can get a permanent policy that doesn't accumulate any cash value because that's inexpensive, but you know you're going to have that coverage until you die, until you're 120 years old, as opposed to a 20 or a 30-year term policy. Term is exactly what it says. You specify the amount of time you want the coverage. When that time is up, like with my friend, now there's no life insurance anymore. So it's kind of like buying auto insurance, and if you never have an accident, but it's for that time. And when people are young and they can't afford a lot of life insurance, then maybe we do put a term policy on. Maybe it's someone's getting a divorce.
It's for a specific amount of time.
Yes, on a term policy. It could be 10, could be 30 years. With the permanent policy, again, it's till you're 120 years old.
Right.
So there's life insurance to gather cash. There's whole life policies. There's universal life policies where you can put money in and it grows along with time. And maybe when you're 60, 65 years old, you can start taking some of that money out and using it to live on.
Right. So that's more of a part of your retirement.
Part of your retirement plan.
Right.
And it's not in the market because I'm not licensed to do securities or mutual funds.
It is what it is.
Life insurance license, exactly what it says.
It is what it is. So is it ever too late to buy life insurance?
It depends on your health issues. I do have one company that has a guaranteed issue policy. It's not a lot of money. It might be $25,000. But yes, you can have that, and that can cover your funeral.
Right.
And that's what we call final expense.
So a lot of the life insurance is mainly on your health issues and your historical health issues. You always can get life insurance, but it's a higher cost.
No.
Okay.
There are a lot of illnesses that will not allow you to have life insurance. Like people who have had cancer. I have a woman who's looking for life insurance. She had breast cancer. You have to be cancer-free for 10 years in order to get that policy, to get a life insurance policy. Okay. So there are, insulin-dependent diabetics can't get life insurance. So when you ask Trish how young or how old, get it while you're young. Get a permanent policy so no health issue is ever going to take that policy away from you. As long as you make your premiums, it can't be canceled.
All right, excellent. I had another question and it just flew out of my mind.
Is it on my paper?
Well, I have a question. How about smoking?
You're going to pay through the nose when you're a smoker.
Because that's not, the reason why I asked, it's not it could be. I mean, you can get cancer from smoking, but smoking in and itself, if someone has smoked and then they quit for a year.
Then they can be a non-smoker rated.
Okay. So that sounds like it's higher as well.
It's quite a bit higher. It's almost double. I mean, if you are a smoker today and you write a policy and you stop smoking for a year, you can apply for a rate reduction with the insurance company.
Okay.
And as long as there's proof that you have quit, the key is that you make sure that you have quit, because if you die then of a smoking-related illness, they could argue that you continue to smoke.
Okay.
So you really have to be careful.
How about if you're on Nicorette?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Write that one down.
I just think
no, you're still getting nicotine. Well, if you're on Nicorette, you haven't quit for a year.
Right. I was just
so you're
wondering
still
because
a smoker. Cigars, pipes.
Yes, because a lot of
chewing
people,
tobacco.
they will say, well, what's the fine line between a smoker and someone who's not actually doing the act of smoking, but is on the gum or the patch? That's
it's
the only reason.
The nicotine is still in your system.
So it's still the substance going through your body, and that's considered still smoking.
Right.
Now, health insurance plans are available through life insurance plans. Are they available through some employers, or is this something that you always have to go out and get individually?
That's a good
yes,
question.
they are available through employers. It depends on the company and that. But the caution that I give anyone, and I ask this question if they're sitting with me and they say, I've got life insurance through work, this is the question you have to ask, and that is it portable? Which means if you terminate from that employer, do you get to take that life insurance with you, and is it guaranteed issue?
Okay.
And I will share a story because when my husband and I had our life insurance, we were paying it on our own. He went to work for an employer. The employer offered health insurance on payroll deduction. So it was less expensive for us to do it through his payroll, same amount of coverage. But in 2000, when he had his first heart attack, and then in 2004 or 2005, when he left that employer, guess what?
Portable.
It wasn't portable, and it wasn't guaranteed issue. So we went from having a lot of life insurance to barely anything that I could afford when he was almost 70. So again, it goes back to your age, your health. You know, people say, well, you're in the business. How did that happen? Well, it happens because you believe what you're told, and now you have to ask those questions. So because of that, I'm very specific when I sit and we do an analysis of how much coverage people have, because I analyze their current policies just to make sure they're right and the right amount and what's going on, and that's the question I always ask.
So, for instance, if your work does have a life insurance policy, but it isn't something that you can take with you or permanent, would you suggest then you would want to add something additionally onto that for your long term?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would never tell anybody, I mean, especially if the employer's paying for it.
If it's free, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the same thing with matching when they have their 401k plans. But again, one of the other things that when we talk about life insurance is that there's a lot of people that are potentially could be going on Medicaid, and you have to spend down your assets. It's a complicated situation, and I deal with Michelle Dempsey, who does all that kind of work, and she's so smart. But there's a way to protect some of those assets, and that is to put it into an irrevocable funeral trust plan. And that basically is you take those assets, and in Connecticut, it's $5,400, the max you can put in. You put that $5,400 into that irrevocable funeral trust, the insurance company becomes the trustee of that money, so it's no longer a countable asset. And then when the insured passes away, someone sends in a bill to the insurance company from the funeral home, and the funeral home the insurance company pays the funeral home. So for me, I don't know whether I'll ever go on Medicaid, but I purchased that $5,400 irrevocable funeral trust. Now, when I die, my kids don't have to worry about putting their hands in their pocket and taking out their credit cards.
Right, to pay for the
because it's all done.
Funeral. Right,
it's all done.
Right.
So
now, so I guess what you're saying too, Lorraine, is very important that they find an agent like you that's going to manage this.
Exactly.
Because you're going to do the analysis and basically see them, consult on what best policy is right for their family. So you'll go right down from mortgage, debt, how many kids, and then that equals what you feel should be the right amount of money for life insurance for their policy. Now, for them. But what if you're does it change in a divorce situation?
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of times divorces with children, it's mandatory that both the husband and the wife have a life insurance policy in the event that either one of them die, and now that child support will be paid by that.
Right.
And it goes back to women. Why do women need life insurance? And because I know years ago I'd be sitting with a family and there was this man. This was disgusting. These people were both just fat and ugly, and their house was disgusting, and their children were running around. And I can't help it because this has stayed in my mind for so long. And
It certainly made an impact.
And I said to him, you know, what happens if you die? You know, you need X amount of life insurance. And he says to me, don't worry, somebody will marry her. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not going to happen.
Wow.
You heard it right here in Mystic Matters, with Lorraine Sanborn.
Well, I'll tell you.
Finding humor in this situation.
It's a serious topic.
Yes, oh yes.
And it is one that I say life insurance with a heart, because when you're dealing with an agent, especially when you're dealing with me, it's not all about how much money I'm going to make. It's all about what do you need, and I care about people. So my daughter came up with that, life insurance with a heart. She said, because Mom, you have one, you know, you really care about people. So yeah, there's life insurance to cover you in the event of death. It's really, to me, it's like living insurance, not death insurance. And in Rhode Island, Connecticut is so far behind the ball on allowing benefits to come in. But in Rhode Island, the policies allow what they call living benefits, so you don't have to die to use your life insurance. It's really cool. If you have...
You mean your husband and wife, you have insurance on your husband, he can still be living while you draw from the life insurance?
Right.
Isn't that more of a retirement?
Not the cash value. I'm talking about the face amount of the policy. So if he had, to address that, if he had a heart attack, a stroke, cancer, any critical illness or a chronic illness where he couldn't perform 2 or more activities of daily living, you can take a portion of the face amount of the policy and use it for your living expenses. So you're not going to go bankrupt. You're not going to lose your house. These are the kinds of things that are so far advanced in other states. So if anybody out there knows, anybody that lives in Rhode Island, works in Rhode Island, has family in Rhode Island, I need to go see them. I need to show them that this policy is so powerful. And it just replaces the standard life insurance policies. And there's not any more expensive than having a standard policy.
So as a life insurance, once you write it, it's not something that's going to be taken away from you. It's transferable to, it doesn't matter which state you live in or anything like that.
That's correct.
It's with you for the rest of your life as long as you pay for the premiums.
Right, but your agent has to be licensed in the state in which you get your policy.
Okay, yes. Oh, absolutely.
But you go anywhere. It's like with the trust, the irrevocable funeral trust, that's portable. That can go anywhere. So if I buy that, which I did, and I move to North Carolina and I die in North Carolina, the insurance company pays the funeral home in North Carolina.
So let's say if Tricia and her husband, okay, they're young, they're looking at life insurance and they just buy it, all right, but when did you revisit it?
Yes, I was going to ask the same question. How often should one see you?
Right.
I think when circumstances in your life change, you get pregnant. And now that financial responsibility has changed. So now you have to reassess that.
When that happens, I'm going to say, Tricia,
call your life year has changed.
See, that just keeps coming back to this on the show.
I keep coming back to this. I didn't bring it up. It was just a situation, but that is an important aspect.
You
of
do.
life
You do
insurance.
have to. You have to be constantly reviewing. You know, it doesn't
It
have to
seems
be
like a
done
lot.
every year, but when life changes, I think that's the time. And you know, you were talking before the show about keeping in touch with your customers, your clients.
Yes.
And that's so important that we keep up with our life insurance clients because life does change. I mean, I've got several now that I sold 10, 12 years ago. Now it's time for me to go back and talk to them because they have policies that were going to last that long. So life changes.
And so when you sell life insurance, do you personally sell for one company, or do you have access to a whole library of different companies that you can pick and choose what's best for each person individually? Okay.
Yes. I shop, like the people that I was doing the quote for today. I went out to 4 different companies, put the same scenario in, came up with the one with the best company for them and the lowest rate. Sometimes the lowest rate isn't the answer, and that's why you can buy cheap insurance. But do you know the company? What's the company's record?
Well, I think we all see the commercials and things like that. It's the same with automobile insurance and going through an agent for Jose.
Yeah.
Right. What's the biggest fallacy on life insurance? Because God only knows, and when you open up your mail, you've got life insurance coming from every, from ARP, or,
Right.
What is
that's
the
your
biggest?
mail.
Yeah, that's my mail, not Trisha's. Not Trisha's. You're talking about life experience and changes and having a baby, and I'm talking about like AARP. As a matter of fact, I picked up somebody's mail accidentally. It wasn't really in my mailbox, but anyways. So what? Totally a lie. But anyways,
I love it.
what is the big fallacy on life? The number one thing.
I think it's fear.
Oh, wow, that's great.
It's
yeah.
fear,
you answered that so quick, Lorraine.
because I have my tagline is I take the fear and misery out of life insurance.
Perfect.
People are afraid to talk about their mortality. They think that if they buy a life insurance policy, it's going to die tomorrow.
Yeah.
They don't feel they can afford it. And because there are so many companies and so many different plans that you can pick and choose, if people call me and they say, look, all I want is a quote, I try to make sure that I can get in and talk with them. But if that's the case, I say to them, look, I need a budget figure. I need you to tell me how much you can spend a month. Because I could sit for 2 hours and come up with these wonderful plans.
Right, but we haven't gotten anywhere. Yeah.
And then I go back to you and you say to me, I can't afford that. So I'm working with somebody now. I said to her the other day, tell me how much you can spend a month. And she says to me, well, normally I can make whatever you would tell me, I would try to make it work. I said, no, I need a number.
Right. You definitely.
Because I've already sat with her and I've looked at everything else she has, but now I need a number.
Yeah. Well, that's really good information. When you answered that right away, what's the biggest fallacy is fear. I guess that would be.
It seems logical, it's definitely.
Sometimes I just get this feeling that people are going like this. Don't even talk to me about this.
Yeah.
But
I think it has everything to do with the mortality too. And I think the work that has to be done to prepare for it is something they don't want to do as well, because it's just so much information that they have to give you. So
Not really. It's not that much. And a lot of people say to me, well, I don't want the nurse to come out because you have to have things like your blood work done and urine and your motor vehicle record checked and things like that.
Right there with that motor vehicle record check. Right there.
But if you start thinking about it when you're young, it's not so fearful it's just another thing.
Yeah. Right. So do it while you're young. So Lorraine, where can we get a hold of you? I think we have your information.
I have a website, which is sanbornconsultants.com.
Okay, and a phone number?
And 860-448-2243. Let me just say, on my website, I have it set up so there's a page for every type of life insurance you can think of. So if you want to know about term, you click on the term. If you want to know about the trust, you click on the trust. There's some videos, there's information. So I love my website because it's an informational website.
Right.
It's not necessarily a sales website.
Right. Well, Lorraine Sanborn, it's so great to have you back on the show, and I hope we get to have you back again. So it's easy to talk with you, and good luck to your new venture, or newer venture, but not new. She's done this, so
long time.
You've been really a veteran at this.
Yeah.
And Tricia Walsh, well, I think now that we've gotten through that little incident here with life insurance and change of plans and the AARP, we are signing off, okay? Good evening. We are Mystic Matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Your soul and spirit fly into mystic. Let Let your soul and spirit fly into Mystic.